So now we're on level 4, so we're going deep again. You know, we're actually not doing that great right now. So that's level 5 twice this session. We're not going to get to our financial target, that's for sure. And 25. Yes! Got it! Hello, Wheel Masters, and welcome back to Mastering the Wheel. Today, we're on day 17 of our Bankroll building challenge, and we've got 16 consecutive wins behind us. So we are just rocking with the wins right now, and we're hoping to put another one under our belt today, so let's see what happens. But before we do get into the video, if you guys don't mind hitting that subscribe button and the like button, it does help out the channel a great deal, and I do very much appreciate it, so thank you so much for that. Now, let's get right into it. So if you guys have been watching the channel, you'll know that I love to use this program BetMaster to help me out with my game. But if you're new to the channel, BetMaster is a program that I wrote that absolutely enhances my whole roulette experience. It shows me the wheel in ways that I would have never seen otherwise. For example, my whole philosophy when I'm playing roulette is I like to place my bets where the ball is landing, and this program allows me to do that flawlessly. I'll show you exactly what I mean. So if I go here in the Advanced Stats tab, what you're looking at here is a heat map of the individual numbers. It shows us each number that's shown up more or less than its statistical average, so more or less than 1 in 37. And of course, the red ones are more and the blue ones are less. And then I'm going to go ahead and adjust my sample size right here and change this to 74 spins. And this is going to be exactly 2 full spins of the wheel, so 37 times 2. And now you can see some gray numbers there. And what those gray numbers are every number that's shown up exactly 1 in 37 over the last 74 spins. So red numbers are hot, blue numbers are cold, gray numbers are, well, average. And this is for individual numbers. And then I'll just show you really quick here. We also get the same information for splits. And for streets, I'm just going to update that street map. That updates on every spin, but it had to wait for the spin result to update it because we weren't actually on the heat map. But this is what you'll see for streets, for example. And then corners, I'll go ahead and update that. And again, corners. If I were betting on corners, I'd like to probably place my bets somewhere around here or over here where the hot corners are. And then double streets. And I'll let you see this update on its own as soon as that spin result comes in. And there it is. Those would be all of the double streets. So if I were betting double streets right now, I'd want to be on the left side as opposed to the right side. Okay. That's just where the most activity is right now for whatever reason. So that's how I like to place my bets, and BetMaster helps me execute my bets like that because I can see this visually. Now, besides that, I can actually place bets that are humanly impossible with BetMaster. Like today's progression, for example, we're going to be betting on the hottest 18 numbers. So I'll go back over here to the individual heat map, and BetMaster is going to place bets on the 18 numbers that have been hitting most frequently over the last 74 spins. And I'm going to show you the type of information that we can get on all of that. This is the data that it collects, and we can get this kind of information on every wheel sector. Right now, we're just looking at individual numbers, and I'm going to filter this to hot. So right now, for example, we can see that over the last 74 spins, the 0 has come 5 times. So this number at this point right now, because we're looking at 74 spins, this number should be 2. So it's come more frequently than, it's expected, obviously. And I'm just going to move all of this over so we can see the information better. But you can see that, so it's been hit 5 times, and that's at a 6.76% average. The longest it's gone without being hit over the last 74 spins is 33 spins. It was last hit 20 spins ago, and on average, it's been hitting once every 14 spins. So that's the kind of information that you can get from every wheel sector on the wheel. So pretty cool. Now, besides that, the program has a built-in progression builder, which allows me to build any progression that I want, and I can have the program automatically execute those bets for me. Another huge advantage for 2 reasons. First of all, I can place bets that are humanly impossible. I remember seeing in the comments it was the Roulette Master's channel one time, and the comments said, well, let me back up a bit. Roulette Master was playing a progression that required a lot of bets to be placed. And one of the comments was, that looks like a great progression, but it's impossible to place that kind of bet coverage in the amount of time the casino gives us. Well, in a lot of cases, progressions are built that way, and it's true. They would only work on a random number generator. But now, with this program, you could build that progression right inside of it and have those bets executed automatically within the amount of time, no problem. And another problem that this program solves is I don't know if you've ever missed a bet or misplaced a bet. You know, the clock ran out and oops, you didn't get down those last 2 chips or whatever, and then the number comes, you know, to add salt to the injury, and you would have won had you got your bet down. Anyways, this program solves that problem too, because it doesn't make mistakes. It gets your bets put down in the right place in the amount of time that you have. So just it really does enhance the whole roulette experience and makes it, in my opinion, much better. So that said, guys, that's BetMaster in a nutshell. If you want to enhance your roulette experience, you can go get it at www.betmaster-data.com, and there is an FAQ there that should answer all of your questions. But if not, by all means, you can throw some questions down here in the comments, and I'm happy to answer anything you want to know. All right, so now let's get right into it. Like I said, this program is going to be placing some bets for us, and I'm just going to go ahead and set a couple of things up quickly, and then we're going to go ahead and do that. So first I have to set up a session, and we're going to call this session what we're doing today, and that's, well, bankroll building, and we are on day 17. And we do need a $230 bankroll for this progression. We're using a 10-cent base unit to start. And let's see. Oh, another thing I forgot to explain, guys, is we're going to be using a trigger for this system. We're not just going to go ahead and start playing right away. What I've found is using specific entry points, which I think is a very overlooked strategy among most roulette players. I find that choosing the right time to enter can make a difference. So what we're going to be doing is waiting for a statistically stretched moment in the wheel. Now that moment will depend on what system or what exactly you plan to do. Today we're playing with the hottest 18 system, and the trigger that I'm going to be using I call system failure. And so what that means is the program, once active, is going to be waiting for the system essentially to fail in the background. It's going to be keeping track of every spin result and tracking whether the progression would have won or lost. And once it loses virtually, that's when it's going to kick in and start placing bets. And the reason behind waiting for that specific moment is, the idea behind it is, when a rare event happens, this event, for example, has a probability of failing 1 in 216 spins on average. Not on cue, but on average, right? So an event that has an average of failing 1 every 216 spins is kind of a rare event. So the chances of a rare event happening back to back are slim. Not saying it can't happen, it does and it will, but it just doesn't happen that often. And that's what we're using as a trigger point to enter the game. So that's actually one of 2 things that we're going to be looking for today. If that happens, then great, that's what's going to happen, and the bets are going to start being placed. But while we're waiting for that trigger, I'm going to be watching the heat map. And one thing I've noticed through observation is that typically when the system based on heat does fail, like in this case, it's going to fail typically when that heat map drops to below a certain threshold. Now, on average, just about any given time, that heat map is going to always show about 12 red numbers, give or take one, right? 12, 11, 13. But when it drops below 10, I often find that the system becomes more likely to fail. I've seen the system fail a lot more when there are like 8 and 9 red numbers versus 13 or 14 red numbers. So when we see the heat map at any point get to around 14 red numbers, or maybe if it's sustained at 12, 13, 14 for a long period of time, and by long I mean 20, 30 spins maybe, if we see a certain level of heat sustained for that long, I may just jump in, turn off the trigger, and allow the bets to start taking place right away. So those are going to be our 2 entry points, whichever comes first. So let's see what happens, guys. We've got everything set up. Just one more thing I have to do is set up what I call a custom click. That's right over here. And the point of a custom click is basically, after a certain amount of inactivity, the casino is going to give me an inactivity pause. And I want to keep my session active while I'm waiting for that trigger. So what the custom click is going to do is keep my session active by clicking on the page refresh every specific spin interval. This casino is very generous with the amount of time they give me. It won't give me an inactivity pause for about 20 minutes. So I've got my spin interval set to 20 spins. So every 20 spins, the page is automatically going to refresh. So that way my session stays active. So I'm just going to go ahead and refresh the page now to give myself a fresh clock. And now we're ready to go. I'm just going to go ahead and fire up the progression. And on the next spin result, what's going to happen is the cursor is going to be put into its default position, which is on the undo button. And it's basically going to stay there and rest on the undo button until either the trigger fires or I decide that we want to play, and then I'll just go in and manually turn off the trigger and allow it to start placing bets. So yeah, so we'll see what happens. Now, this trigger can take minutes or hours to fire. So what we're going to do is speed up the video until that point, and then as soon as we get to the point of the trigger firing, or I get in and turn it off, then we'll start playing some roulette and hopefully win another session. Now, while the video is sped up, I'm going to go ahead and put on a song from the BetMaster soundtrack. So do enjoy the music, and I will see you back here in a couple of minutes.
Evan used to watch the wheel like a preacher in the pew, looking for redemption in the colors as they flew. Every paycheck hit the table, every weekend on repeat. He was chasing little flashes like a fool chasing heat. Friends said it's just bad luck, and he swore they were right. But every time he got ahead, Roulette took another bite. He'd swear to God, I'll stop after this, then spin just one more, and the wheel would laugh softly as it swallowed him to the floor. He wasn't greedy, he was hungry, he wasn't stupid, he was blind. He didn't want to be the loser, he just didn't see the signs. He thought the game was random, he thought his fate was sealed, he thought the house was heaven till the numbers were revealed. And then the lights came on like a storm across the screen. BetMaster in the shadows whispered patterns in between. Not a prayer to the wheel, not a gamble on a dream, just the truth beneath the chaos. Evan finally saw the scheme, and when the lights came on, he was no longer prey, no more spinning out of fear. He was hunting them instead. Started slow, just a test, just a night to look and learn. OCRIs on every pixel, mapping out the twist and turn. Absence wasn't failure, it was weakness in disguise. Cold streaks weren't curses, they were signals in the wild. He'd sit back in the darkness, multi-table screens alive, watching data form a heartbeat, watching colors lose their pride. No emotion in the cursor, no superstition in the mind. He wasn't hoping for a miracle, he was harvesting the signs. He thought the game was chaos, he thought that luck was fate, he thought roulette was sovereign. Now he knows it can be tamed. And then the lights came on like a storm across the screen. BetMaster in the shadows whispered patterns in between. Not a prayer to the wheel, not a gamble on a dream, just the truth beneath the chaos. Evan finally saw the scheme. He doesn't chase the colors, he just watches how they bleed. Roulette ain't a god, now it's a field he's learned to read. There's a moment when you realize you've been kneeling to the wrong king, and the crown you've been begging for is never built for suffering. You don't need to pray to fortune, you just learn the way it breathes. And the night that once consumed you becomes a garden in the weeds. 'Cause when the lights came on, he wasn't just another pawn. He was calm, he was patient, he was hunter, he was dawn. No more tears for lost spins, no more begging fate to bend. BetMaster was the answer and roulette was the amen. 'Cause when the lights came on, he stood taller than the fear. Roulette didn't break him, it just taught him how to steer.
Okay, guys, so that number 29 was the seventh cold number. So here we go. We're going to start to place some bets and just some noticeable mentions, guys. Look at the heat map. And do you remember what I said at the beginning? For you, it was only about 3 minutes ago, but for me, it's been on, a little over 2 hours. And so I said that that heat map was going to be somewhere below 10 red numbers, and that's typically when the system fails. We were at 6 numbers when the system failed. Now, after that last hit, which hit 29 two consecutive times, by the way, um, it's now at 7 numbers, but it failed right below that threshold, and that's extremely common. So this is one of the advantages that I get when I analyze data this way. As I said in the beginning, I can't predict the next spin. I don't know what's going to happen next precisely, but I do know when certain things are more or less likely to happen under specific conditions, and that's one of the advantages that you get when you make data-based decisions. A couple of other noticeable mentions were we're right here just over 200 spins right now, and this system has an average failure rate of 1 every 216 spins. Now, I don't know when the system failed just before we jumped in. It could have been 10 spins prior and we just don't know, or it could have been 200 spins. I really don't know. But that said, 200 spins after we did jump in, the system failed almost right on cue. Now, that doesn't always happen, I have to admit, but just wanted to point that out. A couple other things that I noticed. I mean, what a ride while we were waiting to get to this point. I don't know if you guys were watching the number statistics, but at one point, so two noticeable numbers, or notable numbers, I should say, the number 7 and the number 36 both came up as many as 9 times within 74 spins. That's an average of 1 every 8 spins. Those numbers were coming up, and so extremely hot. Now, I could have jumped in at any point in those 200 spins and won, as long as I would have been enough before our actual failure rate here. I would have probably needed 25 or 30 spins before the 200th, but I could have jumped in at any point there and won. But I really don't know, where I'm at in the cycle, in the probability cycle, that is. Like I said in the beginning, with the trigger that we use, when the system fails, that's already a fairly rare event, like 1 in 216. I mean, it's not the rarest event, obviously. It happens often enough, but it's rare enough to say that it's kind of a rare event. And for that to happen back to back, consecutively, is even more rare. And so that's what we're banking on right now. So, I chances are we're going to win today's session. I can't guarantee it because there are no guarantees in roulette. But when I play this way, as you can see, the results speak for themselves. I'm on session 17 now, consecutive wins, and still going strong. So take that for what you will. But yeah, so this is why I like to use the trigger. I feel like it definitely gives me a little bit of an edge. And well, 40-60, but it's still early. It's still early. Now, hopefully that heat map warms up. Normally what I'll find too is that, once it's cooled down, it'll start to pick back up, but not always, not always. And if the heat map stays low, another thing that I do find is I may go through the progressions a little bit deeper more often. We may see level 3, 4 more than usual. We may end up finding that we're fighting for our life at some point, but hopefully it heats up and that's not the case. But just, other things that I find, with my observations, that heat map really does help me see the picture. And, we're talking over thousands of observations. I've found certain patterns, things that happen on average, right? And that's all this is about is averages. There's no real way we can predict exactly what's going to happen, but we know what's going to happen on average. And that's all we really need to know to give us some kind of idea of how we should play the game. Right. And that's why it's so important when I talk about understanding the probability or the risk of your progression, right? What is the failure rate of your progression? Because, and I know I've said this before, but often players like to set a financial target. They want to make $200 or whatever, right, on their $1,000 bankroll. Well, $200 on your $1,000 bankroll is 20%. I know that, pretty much mathematically, that's almost impossible to do consistently. It's really hard to make 20% on $1,000 or on any bankroll, because progressions just don't allow you that kind of stay at the table consistently. Of course, you can win sometimes, but you're going to have to win at 20%. You have to win 5 consecutive times to be able to at least break even with your bankroll. And in testing, and I've done all kinds of different scenarios, I had a hard time getting ahead at 20%. I've tried 15%. I did slightly better, but when I found 10%, by far, I did a lot better. Now, you're still going to lose. You can't avoid losses. Guaranteed you're going to lose. But the whole point about understanding the probability of what's going on at the wheel is just to give yourself a chance to not lose as much, right? And if you don't lose as much, then I guess you could say you're winning more. And I guess that's the whole idea, right? Just don't lose as much. So do what you can to mitigate risk. As random as roulette is, it is still a game of probabilities, and probabilities govern this whole game. Events are rare, statistically rare, because they're rare. I mean, they have a low probability of happening, whether it's 1 in 216 spins or 1 in, say, 1,300 spins. I get that number from, a run of red or black, 10. 10 red or black have a probability of appearing roughly 1 every 1,300 spins. Yeah, and that pretty much happens, I don't want to say on cue, because that means it would be that predictable that it happens every 1,300 spins. No, maybe you'll go 2,400 spins and you'll only see a run of 10 once, but then maybe you'll go 500 spins and you'll see it twice. But over a large enough sample, you'll see that on average, it came 1 every 1,300 spins. And that's kind of what we're talking about here, right? It just gives you an idea. And sure, you can see a run of black and then maybe a couple of red and then another run of black. Maybe you've seen that. But I'll bet you don't see that every day, right? Because it's a rare event. And your progressions are exactly the same, right? Like this progression failing back to back, it happens. I've lost because it's failed back to back. I wait for my trigger, the trigger fires, I make 2 or 3 wins, and then, I get another set of 7 cold numbers and I lose. Of course it's going to happen. We can't predict the distribution of what's going to happen, but over a large enough sample, you'll see that everything does fall into its probability. And again, that's all we can go on, is what happens on average, and then use that number to help us mitigate risk. And just because of doing that, I found that I lose less, right? So and it's all thanks to tracking the data and using things like these triggers that have given me the knowledge and the ability to be able to do that. So if you guys want to give roulette a different approach, check out BetMaster. You can find it at www.betmaster-data.com and see for yourself. If you're not sure, you can head over to our Discord, and we've got tons of members now. Lots of them using BetMaster. They all love it. I keep hearing all kinds of success stories and how happy they are with the program, and how they, it's exceeded all their expectations. And I'm so glad to hear that great feedback. But if you guys want to hear it for yourself, go to my Discord. Link is in the description, and check it out and see what other people are saying, and join the conversation. You don't have to be a BetMaster member to be part of the Discord. So just, go ahead. It's a great community. We love talking roulette, and it's a good time. So we'd love to have you. Just looking over at our numbers, we're still not doing too bad. We're almost at a 50% win rate, just a little bit under. And I think that win might give us our 50%. Yep, there we go. Doing great. Yeah, so as I said, this progression has a 1 in 216 chance of failing. And actually, I want to talk about that math for a second, because somebody brought up an interesting point on Discord with me. I guess it was a couple of weeks ago now. someone was asking me, because I say this on the channel a lot, I refer to that particular failure rate 1 and 216 because I use this progression a lot. So I do talk about the math behind it. But I also say that, this progression is very different than betting on, say, any of the even bets. And I know on the surface it might look the same because we're betting on 18 numbers, right? But it's actually very different, and I actually have twice the chance of winning when you look at it this way. So let me explain. Yes, I'm betting on 18 numbers, but think of betting on the hottest 18, for example, as like one channel. So what I mean by that is there's only like the only thing that can wipe me out are 7 consecutive cold numbers, right? Um, it's not like there's 2 sets of cold numbers. There's only 1 set of cold numbers. Only 7 numbers out of the entire wheel, 37 numbers. Only 7 of them that are cold can wipe me out. Um, it's not the same with red or black, the way most people bet on it. And I'll show you how you can make it even with my progression. But most people consider like even, odd, high, low, red, black. Like if you're betting on red or black and you're doing, let's say, a martingale, a 7-level martingale, you're most likely, let's say the red came. So you're most likely going to bet on black and give yourself 7 chances. And then when that black one comes, you're going to bet on red and give yourself 7 chances. So you're going to go between them. So now you can think of the even bet as having 2 channels, right? There's 2 places that can wipe you out. There's 7 red or 7 black, depending on which one you're betting on. So now you've just divided your chance of winning by 2 because of that. Now, when I said there's a way that you can make that even with the math on my hottest 18, you can, but what you would have to do is stick to just one color. You would have to only bet on black and never move from it. And then the math would be even. Then you would have a 1 in 206, 1 in 216 chance of failing. Whereas if you're doing both red and black, your numbers are cut right in half. You have a 1 in 108 chance of losing. So that, and in fact, there's a caveat to that because in that progression, there's also, actually, you know what? No, the 0 is included in that. So it does work out to 1 in 108, but still, right? So you have to look at it that way. The 2 channels, right, in red or black. If you're going to be going back and forth, then you've divided your chances of winning already by 2. So your best chance, if you're going to stick with an even bet, is just betting on one of them. Now, what makes the progression I'm using really powerful, and even I would say might increase my chances slightly over just betting on a red or black, is I'm targeting individual numbers. And what I've found is that, so if you're betting on, let's say, black, and you wanted to, let's say, you want to make sure you're betting on black because it's the hottest. So you're going to stick with black because black is the hottest. Okay. Well, there are only so many numbers in the group of blacks that make black the hottest. There might be 5 or 6 numbers in there that are hitting above their expected frequency. So anything more than 1 in 37. But then there's that whole pool of numbers in the black that are not hitting for whatever reason, right? They're not active, and they're all hitting either average or below, again, for whatever reason. That's just the way it is. So what I've found is that betting on the hottest 18 rather than a pre-selected group of 18 like red, black, high, low, even, or odd, when I target the 18 numbers that have been hitting most frequently, again, for whatever reason, it could be random, it could be bias, I don't know. All I know is that's where the action is. So why not just place my bets there, right? Does that make sense? I hope so, because so I've honestly found that I do better when I place my bets that way, and not always. Betting on the hottest doesn't always fare out better. I've gone in and bet on the hottest right after a system failure, and the system failed when the numbers were still 12 or 13 red numbers, and I've lost. That can happen, right? But that would be a rare event. That doesn't happen all the time or very often, you see. And that's all that I base my whole play on is really rare events I look for the game where it's statistically stretched with the progression that I'm going to play, and then I bet where the ball is landing. That's the basis to how I approach the game. And then of course you guys know that I only stay for 10%, but that's not the be all end all for me. I Wow, I just noticed, guys, we dipped really below the line there. We went down to level 5. In fact, that might have even been level 6. Here I am just rambling on and we almost lost. Jesus. Okay. Well, um, I should pay closer attention. What I was saying was, yeah, I picking the moment to leave is also important, and I don't set a financial target. I mean I do, but it's a soft target. I like to leave at 10%, but for me it's 40 spins. If we get to 40 spins in this session before I hit my 10%, then we're gone. And we're actually not doing that great right now, and there's a chance that we may end up having to leave early. I mean, we're at 24. We're on our 25th spin right now, so we still have 15 in the bank. And, well, we need 5 more wins. So let's see what happens. But, if we go to level 5 too many times, then, I mean, we're not going to get to our, we're not going to get to our financial target. That's for sure. And yeah, that was another cold number. So now we're on level 4, so we're going deep again. And what are we doing for hot numbers there? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 11. I mean, we're below the average threshold. I wouldn't call this a cold table, but it's certainly getting cool. When we entered, that was cold, right? Six red numbers, and I pretty much know that the system is about to fail any minute. That happens time and time again. And again, not always, but more often than not, under those conditions, that's what happens. Right? It's being able to see the table from this perspective is definitely an advantage for me. And again, having the bets automatically placed. I mean, look what it's doing. I couldn't place, $1.60 bets, and oh my God, we're at level 5. All right. Well, let's hope we can win this one. And we did. All right. So that's level 5 twice this session. 37% hit rate. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to place a level 5 bet on 18 individual numbers, let alone know what numbers of the 18 or of the wheel are the 18 hottest. Like, that's impossible for me to know on my own, right? And the casino doesn't give you enough information. They only give you the hottest 5, which, I mean, doesn't really do much. The only thing though about betting on the hottest 18 is the barrier to entry. It makes it a little bit more expensive. Like if you're betting on half the wheel, and you're okay with placing even bets, the predetermined ones, then 10 cents will get half the wheel covered for you. Betting on any of the even bets. Whereas for me, the minimum bet is $1.80 at a 10-cent bet. Now, if you're playing from somewhere, because I know that a lot of casinos in different countries have a bet as low as 1 cent, then that makes it even cheaper, right? Like for me, with a 10-cent bet, my bankroll here is $228.60. That's the risk money. So with a 1 cent bet, you can get in for $28, right? And there we go, another win. Getting there. We need 3 more wins. Wow. Okay. So we're almost home, guys. We are almost home. We are on the home stretch. And sorry, after that last one, I guess that's 2 more wins. When I looked up at the stats, it hadn't updated yet. So we have 2 wins to go, and we're not doing bad. I mean, 41%. It's below average, but that's fine. And 13, we got it. Nice. One more win to go. Let's do it. And guys, this is going to be, well, I shouldn't speak too soon. I mean, anything can happen, but, you know, hopefully this is going to be our 17th win in a row. You know, so we are doing well. And 17th win, so that means after this, 3 more wins, and we will have tripled our bankroll, right? Which is a very nice feeling. And of course, it's not going to make it easy for us. We need 1 more win, and that last hit would have increased our stats by a little bit. So now the best we can hope for if we win this one is about a 43%, 43% win. All right. Let's go. Keeping my fingers crossed. I need this win. Please don't make me sweat. And 25. Yes, got it. All right, guys, that is another one in the bag. So that's 17 wins in a row. We are just rocking and pumping out the wins right now. So, you know, couldn't be happier, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. As you know, it does help out the channel a great deal, and I do very much appreciate it. If you guys haven't checked out BetMaster yet, or you've been thinking about getting it, but you're not sure, you know, ask some questions in the comments. Go to the website, check it out at www.betmaster-data.com. Link is in the description, and please come join the Discord. You know, see what everybody else is saying. Everybody's always posting, you know, what they're doing with the program. You know, we're communicating, where people are asking questions, so you get a feel for what's happening with the program and in the community. We'd love to have you. Now, that said, guys, I'm going to let you go for now. So take care, have a great day, and we will see you in the next video. Bye for now.
It's not luck, it's math. The count, watch the pressure build, then pounds. Same wheel spin, same house game, but knowledge shifts, who feels the pain? BetMaster on, I don't guess tonight. I wait for the edge, then strike it right. They call it chance, I call it proof. Numbers don't lie, the math goes through.